I was quite surprised when this 4K was announced that I got quite a few comments asking me if or when I was going to review Milos Forman's 1984 classic Amadeus. It's based on a play by Peter Shaffer, and apparently when Milos confirmed he was going to agree to make the film, he told Peter it's going to be substantially different to the stage play, and that's because what you do on a stage is different to what you can do on a film. For a start, the acting. On a stage, it's got to be elaborate and a bit exaggerated, but in a film, the camera's right in your face and you've got to play it for real. So this is substantially different to that stage play. Not that I've seen a stage play, and this indeed is the first time that I've seen Amadeus. Now, before I get into the story, I thought we'd talk about this 4K pack, because there's just the 4K disc in here, no Blu-ray, and extras. There's two extras. One is Making of a Masterpiece, which I watched. It ran for about 25 minutes. And the next one is a making of that runs for about an hour, and I didn't see very much of that. But if you're a big fan of this 1984 film, then I think there's much to enjoy within that hour-long extra, the making of. It has an image aspect ratio of approximately 2.40 to 1 and comes with DTS sound. The surround sound, is largely just to envelop you during the musical sequences, and many of those are in a theatre, a rather stylish theatre that was shot in Prague, if I remember correctly from that making of. I did see the whole of the film. All the streets they're going through were, I believe, Prague, and they shot them there because it was still like something from the 1700s. This is set in the late 1700s, I think primarily around 1781, and the story itself is not going to be entirely historically accurate, to say the least. I don't know much about the story of Mozart, but he died at the age of 35, and this is centred really around his death, and it's a rival composer, Salieri, telling about how he was the cause of Mozart's death, and he's talking to us towards the end of his life when apparently he's in some sort of sanatorium. So it's an interesting film, and if you're into that music, I think you'll get a lot out of this. The look of the 2.40 to 1 imagery, it seems entirely suitable, and the costumes, the decorating, there's so much to admire about how this film was made, and that indicates to me that it was going to be one that won some Oscars, and it did in fact win 8, including Best Picture, Best Director and Best Actor, and Tom Hulce, who plays Mozart, and F. Murray Abraham, who plays Salieri, they were both up for that Best Actor award, and on this occasion went to F. Murray Abraham. So obviously a successful film, and I looked up the box office and the estimated budget, which apparently was $18 million. The gross is listed at around $52 million, but that is largely the same as the take listed for the USA. So it seems that only Finland might have reported their box office takings, and that was around 50,000 US dollars. So I'm not sure that the box office listed that you'll find on the internet, or those figures that I found listed, starting with IMDb, but other box office sites, I don't think they're going to be entirely accurate, if at all, because I remember this film being at cinemas in 1984. It just wasn't one that I wanted to go and see, but I can remember people talking about it, and it did seem to be a very popular film. Might have been on the later VHS market, but I think this did do well at the cinema here in the UK. So this was loaned to me by Mark Stuckey, who you will have seen in previous videos, and most notably recently when we all invaded Simon Nichols' home cinema to go and review the Terminator 4K against his 35mm print. So Mark sent this over to me, wanted my opinion of it, and I think it's because he very much liked the film when he first saw it all those years ago, and then seeing it anew this time, it was somewhat different to what he remembered. He remembered it about being the life of Mozart, and the music was a secondary instrument of the film. And this time he saw the music as being perhaps too obtrusive on the film and taking up too much of its 2 hours and 40-minute running time. I didn't see it like that. I saw it how Mark saw it originally. It's the life of Mozart towards the end of his life, and the music is just a vital ingredient to make that whole film. But I suspect if I were to watch this again in a few years' time, I'd see it a second time how Mark saw it a second time. But I think if Mark watches it for a third time, so there you are, Mark, if you're watching, I think you'll find that the music is just about right, and it does fill in everything you need to know about the beauty of Mozart's music. But if there's one thing that this film did teach me, it is that I don't like opera. So there's no way around that. I've always felt that way about opera. Now, maybe if I was to see one on the stage in a classy opera house like the Royal Opera House, I might change my opinion, but I just don't think so. I just don't think it's for me. Give me a Swan Lake or a Nutcracker ballet any day. But I think it's a very good release. The image quality isn't brilliant, but it suits the style and the nature of the film, the period piece. I think it's great to look at with those sets, which are actually Prague as it was then in 1984, and the sound I think is wonderful for what it is. If you want to hear Mozart's music and those stage operas or plays exactly as you might have heard them, I shouldn't say exactly as you might have heard them, if you want to hear them as you might have heard them back in the 1780s, then this 4K disc is for you. So, not one that I would put into my collection, but I think there's a great many people out there who really love this film. So if you've got any interest at all, perhaps worth a try. Now, before I go, I thought I'd update you on something. It's got no relationship to Amadeus at all. Season 3 of The Mandalorian. I know I did mention this previously, and I said I'd hopefully come back and tell you what I think of the entire series now we've watched it all. And I've enjoyed Season 3 more than I enjoyed Season 1 and Season 2, and I enjoyed those. It's possible I've just got used to the characters and the stories, and I'm very much enjoying what I'm following now watching a third season. But I think Katie Sackhoff makes a difference. I think that's given this season a bit of a boost. And the ever-developing, evolving little Grogu there, I just think he's brilliant in this, better than he was in the first two, and I loved him in those two series. So I think that one is highly recommended. HMV have still got this steelbook listed, and I'm tempted to get a copy myself, but I'll be returning that to my friend Robert. It's good this, getting all these loaners that I can feature on here, so thanks Robert, thank you Mark. And another one I'm re-watching at the moment, because I'm a bit of a Trekkie, as many of you on here will know, and Picard Season 1, just gone through episode 9 for the second time. We've watched all 3 seasons, and I think this is one of the best television series or streaming series that has ever been made, if not the best. But it's hard to say, because you watch them, you think that's wonderful, then you watch another one, you think, oh, maybe that's better. But this, I just loved Star Trek The Next Generation. I love Star Trek, the original series and the movies. And I think this might be the best Star Trek season of all time. But after this, we got Season 2 and Season 3 to rewatch. So we're going to have a great time in here. And I will say that on our other video projector, which we were using up until 2 years ago, this Blu-ray of Picard did not look as good as it does on this video projector. They vary. Some things look better on one than they do on the other, and vice versa. But on this occasion, with Star Trek Picard Season 1 in here, 10 feet wide, this looks fantastic. So if you haven't seen it and you can still find a copy of this or watch it on streaming, I highly recommend it. But get it video projected to get the best out of it on the biggest screen you can possibly get. So as I keep saying, if you've got a white wall in your house that you can project onto, that's the best way to go. It's completely flat, doesn't cost a lot, and any time it wears out, you just repaint it. And that's what I use in here. That's what I've always tried to use. I've used a screen if I've had to put it in front of a window, and that's really the only reason I will ever use a screen. And I'm hoping to put a 10-foot drop-down screen actually into our living room, which is where it used to live in London. And the reason we got that screen 10 feet wide, the room was 10'3". If that had been a wider room, I think the screen would have been even bigger. But it came down in front of a balcony and balcony doors, so that was why we had the screen there. Anyway, I digress. Star Trek Picard, if I haven't mentioned it before, brilliant. Worth a look for anyone who's into science fiction, and of course most notably Star Trek. Right, I think that brings us to the end of another one. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and perhaps consider subscribing if you haven't already. Until the next video, bye bye for now.